tonight we've got a group of panelists. And let me back up. We are taking the punt plays, breaking them down into 4 segments. The first segment was last week, and that was from the pre-snap moment until the kicker or punter catches the football. And if you go listen to the recording, that'll maybe help break down tonight's next step, which is from the moment the punter kicks the ball to the moment the returner returns the ball, starts the return, or the ball goes out of bounds, or the kick ends. And I think what we want to emphasize this evening is that is the window of the kick. The ball is in that kick status in that window. The ball was kicked, and it has yet to be possessed by the return man or gone out of bounds or become dead. And so we can even use that when we think of PSK. So tonight, the panelists, and we've got a group that pulls together a lot of details throughout the week. The referee position is John Conklin, area director out of Denver. The umpire, Scott Saucke. The wing is Doug Lowe, and the back judge is Chuck Hickey. And they have been fed some information throughout the week from some other veteran position officials, and they are going to be presenting some of the details throughout this film. And I'm going to apologize at the beginning here that I'm struggling a little bit with bandwidth. I got the entire house shut down, and I'm still dealing with some delays here. So my apologies on it. This first play, and we're not going to break this one down to an nth degree, but my emphasis in this particular play is if we can prepare, or if we can use our mechanics to the best of our abilities with 5 guys on the field and 22 players moving all over the place and a ball that's shaped goofy and it bounces crazy, it is probably punt plays that if we can stick to our mechanics to give us the best chance to officiate the play, we've got to try to do that. So this particular play, if you were able to see it when it was all choppy, we've got a punter with his feet on the end line. We've got a referee positioned perfect to watch the kicker, make sure he doesn't step out of bounds. The ball snapped high, of course. It's the kind of stuff that happens when the kicker is on his end line. Everybody is, I think, mechanically moving really well. I really like, once this play breaks down right here, you see the punter now tuck and run. Our head linesman recognizes that we've got a money line to be worried about. You'll see him take a step back to the goal line, getting in position to help, and guess what happens? I don't know if you can see the ball pop out. Rolls into the field of play and is recovered by somebody, and it's somewhat irrelevant. I guess it's not. It's irrelevant who recovered it because it's recovered at the 1. But if that ball is on the backside of that goal line, we've got a touchdown or a safety. If it's on the front side, we've either got first down. In both cases, whether it's recovered by K or R, it's got first and goal from the 1. So my point here is this is why we have mechanics to prepare for crazy stuff like this. The officials are in proper position and ready for crazy. So first play we're going to talk about this evening. We broke this evening's comments down into 4 categories. The first one is normal / fair catch type situations, the kind of situations play-wise that we like to see where everything is kind of as programmed. We do have a couple muffed kicks that we'll show tonight in this particular segment. Obviously, if it's a fair catch, not a lot happens at that catch point, but there's stuff that's transitioning downfield. So as soon as I might just have to drag this mouse across. So first play, the punter's back, normal depth. Our white hat, maybe I'll let Conklin speak a little bit about this position after I take you all the way through the play and we bring it back and start over again. So you'll see the result of the play is I believe he reaches up to catch the ball. You can see the ball right here, reaches up to catch it, muffs it, hits the ground, tries to pick it up, advance it a little ways, and gets tackled. So we're going to go back to the beginning of this play and talk through just a normal procedure that a white hat would start with, and we'll move through the umpire, wings, and then back. So go ahead, John.
Okay. Thanks, Kirk. So I think the white hat's positioned pretty well. He's about a yard behind the punter and out near the numbers with the punter at the hash mark. As the kick is made, the punter is not threatened on this play, so he's going to get a chance to take a quick glance and make sure that it's not headed out of bounds where he might have to line it up. And then he's going to go to his hash mark and move very slowly downfield, not passing any colors. If the kicking team has a couple stragglers alone, that's fine. You can go past them. But if there's two colors, opposite teams together, he's not going to move any farther downfield than those players, so that he can keep an eye on everything and let the umpire go downfield and officiate.
Saucke, what do you have? And remind the audience what we're thinking in regards to the position.
Yes, thanks, Kirk. We are basing our conversation with the umpire being in the defensive backfield. So my comments tonight will be from that position. The other position that I would like to, or not position, the other point I want to make is, since tonight is from kick to end of kick, there should never be a reason for an umpire to do anything but walk. Not even a slow jog, certainly not a run. Now, next week we'll have some other things to talk about when we start talking about after the kick ends. But for this portion, the umpire should have no reason to have to do anything but walk. The last point I want to make for the prerequisite of everything is, until the ball goes over your head, keep your focus on the offensive position. You don't spin until the ball goes over your head. And you're satisfied that there's nothing else left for you to have to worry about with the offense. So with that being said, the umpire starts out 10 yards deep and should be able to maintain that 10 yards without having to move toward the line of scrimmage. You can focus your entire observation from a standing position and allow the kick to occur and allow it to go over your head. And I'll have more comments on some later plays.
Very good, Scott. Can you expand on why that walk is important?
Well, number one, I'm always of the opinion that you get your best view more stationary. But why do you need to run? There is no reason for you to have to run anywhere. You don't have to quickly get to another place. Your eyes can cover the entire distance, because we are not watching the end of the kick. I am not watching the return or anything of that nature. Now, I'm aware that a kick has been caught, but I am not watching the returner at all. I am watching the players between me and the returner. And there is no reason to have to get deeper downfield, and you can satisfy a better eyesight by just doing a walk. Now, once the kick ends, stop. Don't move any bit more. Let the return, well, we'll get into that next week, but you're going to let the return occur from a stationary position. You don't need to be moving, again, getting into next week, while the return is in progress. Just stay there, hold your ground, and observe.
Talk through. Oh, you got a comment, somebody?
Kirk, I was just going to say, it's John Conklin. Do you want to switch presenters and see if we can get a smoother video? Do you want me to run the video for you?
Oh, yeah, let's try it. And while we're doing that, I'm going to have Lo start talking.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a continuation of last week, you're doing all the pre-snap routine, down and distance, line to gain, talking to your box and tell them not to move and all that stuff. But as Scott was saying, we want to move with a purpose. We're just not mechanically, as soon as the ball's kicked, we're running downfield. We're moving with a purpose. And that being said, we're going to actually stop, look, and listen. You're gonna see things, you're gonna hear things, and you're gonna notice things that are going around you. So, like if you hear someone fire, or Peter, or you hear that ball being blocked, or the crowd does something goofy, that kick didn't get off in a smooth fashion. So stop, look, and listen. Our line judge, mechanically needs to release when the ball is kicked. But again, don't release until it's been kicked. Take a peek, at that kick as well. You kind of want to know where that ball is going without watching the ball. Like Scott said, we're people watchers, not ball watchers. So take a peek and then watch, moving downfield at a nice pace. The ball and the players will take you to the ball. So you don't have to look for the ball. And you're going to run about half the distance between where you were at the line of scrimmage to where the ball takes you. And all that time you're officiating. You're looking for blocks. Is the receiving team grabbing, or are they in chase mode? The first wave of blockers for the line judge is your responsibility. As a head linesman, you're just sitting tight. again, take a peek, see what's happening, listen to the crowd, fire, Peter, block, ball, whatever. But you want to make sure that ball crosses the line of scrimmage because you're responsible for that. You're the only one who has that line of scrimmage, so you're watching that. And once you know that ball has cleared that line of scrimmage, then you can go ahead and release. So, continuing with the officiating, if the line judge, once that ball crosses the line, everything's clear, then you're pretty much looking at that second wave of blockers. Again, looking for any blindside blocks or holding and stuff like that. And if the ball is caught in return, the back judge is going to eventually release the runner to the wings. And at that point, we're just going to, again, watch blocking in front of the ball if it's in your area of responsibility. If it's away from you, then you're going to be watching some off-ball type stuff and behind the play. But you're going to be, again, officiating with a purpose. You're not looking for troubles that really is not at the point of attack.
All right, Hickey, walk us through some back judge techniques on a return on a normal play like this.
So we've got two deep returners here, and it appears our back judge is set up in a pretty good position. You want to be between the two returners. I know we've talked a lot before about, being set, but these returners are moving up, so we want to move up here and get a little bit of a better angle. When the kick happens, I like to look down and get an eye on where the ball is going, just to help me get into a better position. This back judge gets a little bit straight lined. He's too deep. When the kick gets muffed, he's probably about 13 yards deep. We probably want to be closer to about 5 and probably at a little bit better angle, closer to the near hash, just so we can so we're able to watch all of this and be able to see the muff. Can see the back judge. He's going to put his whistle in his mouth right away. We want to be careful with that. Get any inadvertent whistles. But just get a sneak. We don't need to look at these receivers when the ball is kicked because they are not threatened. It's more important to get an idea of where the kick is going, and these returners lead us to where that's going to happen. They're going to be moving up, so it's okay to move up with them and probably move at a 45-degree angle toward this closer hash, so we're in a better position to protect them from Team K as they come down. And as we watch for KCI, we're going to make sure we have a fair catch, if we have a fair catch signal, and certainly in this case, if we have a muff.
I know we want to keep moving here, Chuck, but let me ask you a question. Do you do things much different when you've got 2 receivers versus 1? Is there a considerable change in mechanics other than position? You pretty much officiate the same way.
I think it's just more position. The ball's going to only go to one of them. So it's more, let's pick which one is going to get it, and that becomes our primary person. But we also need to keep that second deep returner in our peripheral vision in case he does give a fair catch signal and decides he wants to go block someone, then we have a foul in that situation. So it is different, but a lot of it is still kind of the same. You just have a little bit more responsibility with the 2 back there.
Kirk, we got a couple of things from the chat here.
Roll.
First of all, good point by Mike Kelley. We should also be aware of when players are in a chase mode, like we've seen on this clip. So think about when someone's chasing down to try to get a block or line someone up for a big block. So we're looking at the red players. So we should be officiating the red players, especially on the wings, when they're chasing somebody down. The other thing that Michael had a question on, what are some good pointers for when the kick goes out of bounds downfield?
And we do have a kick out of bounds play,
Yeah.
so we will hold off on.
Okay, and just the last thing here. Right now we're seeing on the screen where this official's looking for the ball too soon. Guys, just don't worry about the ball. Just slow down. Go ahead, Kirk.
Well, John, I think we're going to move to the next play, and we're probably going to have to move fairly quickly through these. Let's see, what's the title of this one?
You want me to look?
We got sound coming up. No,
Here,
go
I can-
ahead. I've got it.
Okay.
So this is a kick near the sideline. It'll end. Ball is kind of rolling near the sideline, and so I'm sure we'll talk about the back judge and his position and the difficulty when that ball rolls right up to the edge of the field. And so maybe we'll bounce through the comments here quick. If there's anything that position-wise, let's start with Conklin. Anything?
Not for the referee on this play. It's pretty similar to the other play. I think he's in good position. He's close to the goal line because the kicker's there, and he gets the kick away clean. He's not threatened.
How about you, Saucke? Anything unique on this for the umpire?
Kicks out of bounds. A moment ago, I was saying spin, walk until the kick ends. Well, the kick is going to end if it goes out of bounds, but obviously I believe this one stays in bounds. We can start working toward the ball, but we're not looking at the ball at all. We are just looking at the DBO aspects of things or anybody else in chase mode. Again, an umpire will never have to worry about forward progress. So our eyes on a ball in a punt situation just has no place for an umpire.
Wings, low.
Yeah, there's a couple different challenges on this play that when we previewed it, we're not sure exactly what happened to the line judge on this play. He should be downfield somewhere. I don't know if he got hung up or took the play off or got knocked down on the sideline there, but he needs to be in a little better position than, obviously he's nowhere in the screen right now. The headlinesman, he may have released late, maybe anticipating some sort of return, but again, in my opinion, I don't think he's far enough downfield. He's down at the 20-yard line, and by the time the ball goes out of bounds, I think he's probably 40 yards away. So he may be able to get down a bit quicker to help some things down there. Ball on the sideline tough.
Doug, what's your rule of thumb? Just we're trying to think in terms of normal here, and I know this ball bounces. How far downfield do you like to target?
Well, like I said on the previous slide, somewhere between the line of scrimmage and to about the where the kick ends. So that's where you should end up. Now, like Scott was saying, our eyes can see better than our legs. So if you can stop and look and get a better view, that's great. You just don't want to be, so tight that you lose your angle in the distance. So I think as a good rule of thumb, it's about half the distance between the line of scrimmage and where the ball ends up.
How about you, Hickey?
So our back judge here is pretty straight lined. We need to get a better angle, probably closer to this near hash mark. He's direct right there. He's directly behind the returner. We need to be closer to this near hash mark to have that angle. And then the ball hits and starts rolling, and you got to let the returner take you where he's going to take you, and he keeps retreating, and our back judge here is not retreating. If we're at a better angle, we could better officiate this, have that wider vision. As we get closer and closer, everything narrows, and we're going to miss stuff. Another part is we're inside the hash marks. We're not responsible for that. We might have been able to see that possible late hit that comes in at the end. If we can back it up just a little bit, the white player coming down the sideline right there, right now at about the 45. On something like this, we don't have sideline responsibility. And that's him. Just stop and watch and have that vision. We're moving into this play where we want to keep our vision and to watch everything. It doesn't matter where that ball is. It is where it is. We're at the 35. We're going to put it wherever the play's over. But we've got this possible dangerous play by this player who's coming in with the receiving team already down on the ground. And we've got to be able to watch that and protect these kids.
John, let's jump to the next play. I'm going to skip a couple here coming up.
Bring
Let's
down
jump to the next one. Any way you can turn off that audio in the huddle, go to the cog.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on this particular play. What I wanted to focus on is this wing official at the bottom of the screen. We do see this a lot of times where our wings want to get downfield at the same pace as the return. And as Doug talked about, the depth and how far you go is about half the distance to where that return man is. This spot doesn't matter. The back judge can handle this spot plus or minus a couple yards. We've got to keep a lot of players in front of us, and I think this wing is just running downfield, straight lining himself with any potential action. And so that was really the focus of that. I think Chuck, you wanted to talk a little bit about the back judge position on this one, didn't you?
Yep. Just like the last play, we're straight lined here again. We're directly behind the returner. Angles are our friends, and I would like to see this back judge at an angle up toward the upper hash marks. We're fortunate here; nothing is happening. Yep. We're not. We need to make sure we're going to see both hands of the returner and just have that angle, so we have that.
All right, so I'm going to comment briefly on the line judge, if that's okay, Kurt. So he does a great job initially. He looks back, he takes a peek at the punt, he sees that the gunners are all clear, and he moves downfield really, really nicely. But then all of a sudden, what is he officiating? I'm not sure what he's looking at other than watching the ball bounce. He's passing up blockers. He's passing up everything, and I'm not sure what was the intent there. He should have stopped maybe 15, 20 yards back to officiate players and just let the ball do whatever it's going to do. So right about here, he should have stopped.
Yeah, there's no threats there.
All right, let's jump to the next play, John. 128. Yeah, we spent a fair bit of time in conversation before the presentation tonight on this play. John, do you have anything unique on this? It seems like most of your stuff is routine at this point.
Yeah, no, the referee's not even in the picture. It's a left-footed punter, so he's out of the frame on the left side.
Saucke, how about you? You got
yeah, I think the umpire is making too much of a concerted effort to get into the middle of the action of bodies as well as the wings. There should be no reason that he has to get in there unless he's starting to see something happen. But this seems like a little bit too much, and he shouldn't be the one to signal the direction of the next play.
Scott, what do you think about where the umpire started at on this punt play?
We talked about that earlier. He's too deep. I think we were thinking he might have started at 15 yards, so that's way too deep. Our mechanic says 10 to 12, so 15 yards is definitely too deep. And then he takes off at a pretty darn good pace to get into the bodies. And I'm not sure I am seeing any reason for the umpire anyway to get into those bodies. He could manage everything 15 to 20 yards away from all this.
All right, Doug, how about from the wing?
Hey, I thought the wings did a great job on this one. They held the spot, waited for the ball to clear. It looks like the line judge is got an eye on number 28. It looks like he had a potential blindside block coming towards him, so he stopped and followed him all the way through. And then after, it looks like him. So here's the block right there. I thought he did a good job watching that. And then once the ball was muffed, it was obviously going in there to be a potential digger, but I think he was a little early on that. Maybe just kind of hold your water and watch, let things develop, just in case something scrambles out of there. You're going to be caught up in all that mess. So don't be too quick to rush in. It looks like the back judge had it, and then go in there and help if you need to dig, but maybe a little too premature on getting in there.
I noticed the line judge a little different on this one. Takes off immediately. Not really. It just seemed like a half a second or just a peek to the backfield instead of just coming out of the blocks at the snap. I know the mechanic says leave at the snap, but I think we've got a little transition time to just make sure that punt doesn't go over the punter's head. I think we can help ourselves out by slowing that line.
Kirk, I'll also add this, because I think when you see a press coverage on that gunner going downfield, if he's not seeing anything, if he's leaving that quick, he needs to make sure that guy's not getting held.
That's a good point. Would you suggest to actually be behind that play?
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be too far, but let's understand that that's kind of there's a potential hold. He can't see that right now. I think your better angle would be a little slightly behind.
Yeah, I agree. You know, again, like we said earlier, move with a purpose. I mean, why is he taking off? Only because the mechanic book says that? You see there's press coverage. Just hold your water a half a second. Look at the action there. Make sure there's nothing goofy going on. Holding either way, whether it's the gunner or the defender. It could go either way. So just sit tight. Stop, look, and listen, and then take off. That half a second that you're trying to gain is not going to get you anything.
John Conklin, Rick Ross, and I kind of tend to agree, even though we don't see much of the referee. But I think if you go back to the beginning of the play, that referee needs to be wider.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. You can see him right there on the edge of the screen. Yeah, he's too close to being straight line behind the punter.
Yep.
Yeah, especially if it's over the punter's head, or he's not going to have an angle, or if there's action right in front of the punter with a defender coming in, he's not going to have a good angle to see it and see if the ball's touched and make a ruling on that.
I'd like to make a comment toward the end of the play. And one thing you can say that we're moving into a pile too quick is watch the back judge as he's coming in. He now has to use his arms to ward off players. When you are warding off players at the end of a play, you are too close.
Good comment.
He's going too fast here. He's too deep. He throws his beanbag when he shouldn't have thrown the beanbag. Because we don't have an end of the kick, we have a muff. It's kind of thrown out of, a natural reaction that, he's too deep. He's 10 yards, plus he's straight line. Another problem. We talk about angles. I know we had two deep returners here. Needed to be a little bit closer and a little bit wider toward the top of the hash marks. Wait until the end of the kick. Know when the end of the kick is. A lot of times we have a lot of back judges that I see, and I'm probably guilty of it as well. Is that we just start too deep and we stay too deep, and we can get into trouble here. And he's warding off players here because he's close, because he's rushing. And granted, your heart rate is going accelerated here because we have a muff and we have a pile in here. But if we were, if we started a little bit closer and a little bit wider, and we're stopped and we're watching, we're going to be in a better position to officiate this play. And not to step on Doug's and Scott's toes here. We have the umpire and this line judge that we're all moving in, and we've got players from both teams together. And as we've talked about, when we get in closer, our field of vision narrows. We need to step back and stop and dead ball officiate, because we still have players, especially after a play like this, an exciting play, a possible game-changing play. We need to dead ball officiate and just have that narrow focus. And we've already talked about the umpire turning away from that and signaling. And I think the line judge also comes in. But at this point, we just need to dead ball officiate from those positions and let the back judge, dig it out and sort this out. It's 22 against 5. We don't need to make it any worse than it is.
I think we have a tendency that we say to ourselves, we got to get into the middle of this scrum and be ready to quit the chicken scratching that's going to go on. Well, you can do all of that 10 yards away. Once
Agreed.
The play is over, you want to start closing in. And yes, of course, if the play is well over and chicken scratching starts going on, yes, you do want to get in there and start using your voice.
All right, we're going to move off of this play. Good stuff. John, I want to move to play 121, which would be two plays down the road here. Yeah, stop at 121, and we had a question about kick out of bounds, so that'll be the best one.
Kirk, are you still on? Scott, you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Sounds like Kirk might have had a technical issue. So on this play, the referee is backing up right before the snap, but he gets into decent position. The punter is not threatened, so the referee is going to be able to glance up and look at the direction of this kick, and when he sees that it's headed for the sideline, his first responsibility is to go back to the punter and make sure that the punter remains not threatened, but he's also going to be aware the ball's going and have an idea of an angle. This ball does hit out of bounds somewhere over in here off screen, and that's going to be the wing official to go deep enough to have to come back up the sideline, have the referee raise his hand and chop where it crossed the boundary. So that's from the referee's perspective what you want to do. Now, if that kicker is threatened by a rusher, I'm not going to be looking up at where the ball's going, and when I look up at the end of the play, no matter what's happened back where I'm at, I'll have no clue, and if everybody's looking at me, that's when I tell the wings in pregame, pick a spot and sell it. If I don't have a hand up, I don't know where it went out because I had other things going on. Scott?
When the ball goes over the umpire's head in this case, you may not know whether it's shanked to the right, left, or straight down the field. The player's bodies and motions will tell you that it's going to the right sideline, as in this case. And all you're doing is watching the players that are well behind that ball and checking for illegal activity on those players.
Doug, what do you see for the wings?
Well, I think the line judge did a little better job on this one, albeit it's a different line judge. He may have stayed there a little bit too long. But like you said, the mechanic indicates that the wings have sideline responsibility if the ball goes out of bounds. So we're going to hustle down there, get as far as we can, take a clue off the back judge. The back judge will kind of tell you where it went out in his mind. So just keep going until you're past the line judge and maybe 5-10 yards past them. The players will take you there as well. Just keep running. Turn around and take a peek to your white hat. If the white hat has his hand up, then he's got a spot for you. If not, like John said, you're going to have to sell it. And it doesn't really matter how close you are in this case. Just turn around and set it on a whole yard line.
Doug,
Really
I like what this line judge did. He kind of peeked up and saw that the ball was headed towards the sideline.
Yep, he did take a peek, and that's good. You got to have some idea, with the kick, where it's going. So take a peek. Not necessarily you're watching it, then head into your responsibilities of, watching players. And you can see the players all running to the sideline. So it's going to end up there. The moving with a purpose is they're moving to where the ball is going, and they'll take you to the ball. Whether it's on the flight or on the ground is just your mechanic changes. That's all.
Chuck, what about the back judge on this play?
So I think the back judge initially set up in between the two deep receivers, but they're at the 10-yard line. We need to be parked on the goal line here. We need to make sure that goal line is protected and that we are stationary there until that goal line is no longer threatened. And as the ball's coming down, we don't have that sideline responsibility, but we can help out this line judge who's probably about still 20 yards away from where this ball goes out. And then we just need to move up within the hash marks and just stop and just help him where we think it went out, probably close to about the 5 or 10 yard line there. But we make sure we are protecting that goal line in case that kick goes into the end zone. Make sure we are back there and just stationary, observing the play, watching who's coming down, protecting those deep returners there. And certainly we don't need to be moving into the side zone here. We've got two officials within, 10 yards of each other within this side zone here. We've got some action possible. We got a couple of players coming together here at about the 15. Nothing's happening, but again, you never know what's going to happen.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on.
I think Kirk's back.
Nope. You back, Kirk?
Nope, I guess not. I thought I saw him pop back on.
Okay. We'll let him unmute himself.
No
So
problem.
I'll play this again. So I know you looked at this last week with the end line threat and the referee's back on the end line and then comes out and cleans up behind this play. Scott, what do you got for the umpire?
Well, when you're that close to the goal line, it's real important for everybody to help chip in here. What I'm saying is we want to make sure that ball crosses the line of scrimmage. The umpire is not responsible to say that it's going across the line of scrimmage. You just need to be aware that it's going across the line of scrimmage because of the end zone that's in close proximity here.
Doug?
I didn't see anything unusual on this play for the Wings. It looked like the headlinesman, set there. He didn't move back, didn't need to move back. On the previous play that was blocked, he may have, I think he probably should have gone to the goal line and maybe 2 or 3 steps off of the sideline. But in this particular one, it's pretty cut and dry. He just sat there, waited for the ball to cross the line of scrimmage, then released. Not really sure where the line judge is at, but he's probably somewhere in between, probably around the 40-yard line, I would guess, which is okay because I think he's got a good field of view and watching the action. I don't see any white players in the frame at all when the ball stops, so there's not a whole lot to watch other than what's happening behind it.
Chuck, back judge?
Nothing here. He's deep enough. We don't need to be spotting the ball here. We're not going to be using that ball, even though the player throws it to us. Just come up, drop your beanbag at the 42, kill the clock earlier than that. That's all I got on that one.
Okay. Let's go on to the next play. One of those nice pre-punt shifts that everybody loves to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty straightforward from the referee. But look what's going to happen at the end of the play. All right. I'll credit Mark Ussery. Low frequency, high consequence plays. You're not going to see this a lot, but at the end of this play, the attempted returner is going to muff the ball once, probably twice, maybe 3 times. The ball rolls, goes into the end zone, and then just so we see what happens, it's recovered by the kickers, and there's the touchdown signal by the headlinesman. Scott, anything for the umpire on this play?
Well, when a ball rolls past the returner, this is definitely a point where the umpire has no purpose to watch what's happening with that ball. There must be an easy 10 to 12 players that he has to watch that are anywhere between the 20-yard line and the goal line. So the ball is of no significance at all to the umpire in this case.
Okay. Doug, what do you think for the Wings? Doug, are you there?
Oh, sorry. Let me get off the mute. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah. So it's tough to see the action of the Wings on this one, with the exception of the line judge, who was methodically trotting downfield looking for any action. The headlinesman, I'm not sure if he was the one who did. Was he the one who signaled touchdown, or was it the back judge?
It's the back judge. It's the back judge.
I'm sorry. It is the headlines. It is the back judge. Yes, he gets over to the pylon.
Is that linesman coming out on the field a good 7-8 yards?
Yeah, he kind of bananas in. I'm not sure again why he came on the field at all, but there's no good reason for that.
Easy at the numbers, or if there were numbers.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's some dashes down there. You could on the big lines. You can kind of see some dashes there.
Chuck, how about for the back judge here? What do you do as the back judge when this happens?
Well, we're out of position, and when we're out of position, bad things happen. First of all, we're in front of the returner by 5 yards. We talked about angles. We've got a bad angle on it, but we've got to be behind the deepest returner, so we know what's going to happen. And then when this first muff happens, we are trying to catch up, and we're still 10 yards behind. And now we've got 6 players behind us, and we just cannot properly officiate this play. This ball goes into the end zone. And again, as a back judge, I repeat to myself, when does the kick end? It's when I'm going to, when I throw the beanbag. But you have to, and this comes back to understanding rules and understanding concepts. When does the kick end? It doesn't end when our player touches the ball. We have a muff. It's still a kick, and it's muffed again, and kind of booted into the end zone. And our mechanics help us to be in the proper position to officiate plays. We weren't even close to being in the proper position on this play. and then failing to understand rules and concepts of when this kick ends. The kick did not end until it went into the end zone, and this certainly is not a touchdown, it's a touchback. The mechanics help put us into position to officiate plays the right way, and unfortunately that wasn't the case on this play.
So what's the best thing to do, Chuck? On any of these plays, when the ball goes into the end zone, the best thing to do is just stop the clock.
Yes, agreed.
Find someone to talk to. We don't have to signal a touchdown right away or any signal. The only signal we want to give is we're going to stop the clock.
Correct. Because we're going to, with this signal, we should be taking a touchdown away, and we're going to have half of the stadium not very happy with this.
So anytime there's a screwy play at the goal line, especially on kicks like these, best practice I think would be to just stop the clock.
So one thing that's
Agreed.
interesting is this is a 8-man game.
Right.
And all 8 B players are right here, and then this guy breaks from the formation and runs back to be the returner, even though we have a kicker in punt position. So I guess, Chuck, I'd ask you, as the back judge, do you go back when it's 4th down and long? Do you stick to your normal position? I mean, I would assume you're going to be aware or be heads up to look for somebody going back so that you don't end up with them behind you.
I would see that our player was racing back because he recognized that K is in a kick formation, and he's like, oh my gosh, okay, we're going to have a kick here. I need to get back. 24 there, he's going back. We need to be getting back. And it is 8-man. So I would probably be fine on the angle that he was, but I mean, we can't let this deep returner get behind us. So either it was not recognized that our player was getting back, which again, what are we looking at? We're not paying attention to what needs to be looked at. He's going to start racing back. Understand the down and distance. Okay, yeah, they might run a play, but they might not. Our player recognizes, they're going to kick the ball. Keep all, in this case, 16 players within your vision and get back and keep him there.
Chuck, this is Kirk. I'm finally back. I had the blue screen of death on my computer, which was built up to.
Did you pay the ransom?
Evening. So I did. Yeah, I did not see a ransom request. But what a mess. So sorry about that. So my question to Chuck on this play, because this one's chaos for a back judge and everything you guys talked about. Chuck, my question to a back judge: if you don't have a return man back, and it's maybe a suspect 4th down, whether they're going to punt it or not, maybe the team is even shifting in and out. Are you typically back there to prepare for a return or a punt to be kicked? Or how do you judge where you want to be? Certainly if they're in a passing formation or under center, they're not punting from that. But in this case, would you be back in the return position, preparing for that guy to panic? And we always say don't referee nothing, but if the ball is the only thing bouncing around back there, talk through, would you have been in a deep receiver's position as a back judge if there was no receiver back there? I guess that's really the question I'm asking.
Sure. I think it's down in distance, so we're looking at about 4th and 5 here. And it's got to, I would, not to cop out, understand the game situation. Is A/K behind? Is it, do they need a touchdown here? Is it late? Or are they, are they trying to run out the clock and they're ahead and want to get rid of it? So it's just kind of a game situation, and knowing that something like this, I'm going to start at my normal 22 to 25 deep, and if I see that our player coming back, I need to get back, and he's running back and he's given us a good amount of time getting back there. K is still shifting. That our player, we've gone probably 5-8 seconds, and we're still 8 yards in front of them. So we just need to read the play, and not that it's a cop out. It's 8-man. We should easily be able to pick this up. Certainly an 11-man, and certainly most definitely an 8-man.
John, we got 6 minutes left. Let's go to play 59. It's where the last item we wanted to talk about tonight was short kicks. Is that 59?
That's 59.
Yeah, so we're going to have a kick that, looks like a normal kick, but it takes a 9-iron bounce back into the players. And I always panic as an umpire. I see that ball bouncing back towards a bunch of players that are kind of scattered and going in different directions and looking for contact with a player. Let's talk through by position how we can help support what happens next in this play. I assume the white hat doesn't really have much in this action to support other than keeping a bunch of players in focus, because the other officials are focused on the ball touching and getting recovered by a player.
So one of the things on a punt play, I know that the back judge, once the kick is gone, the back judge is going to be focused on the ball, the receiver, down there. So I take a very wide angle view of the field and look through players. If there's nothing going on with the kids jogging downfield that are near me and I'm behind them, I'm looking through them to look for those chase positions, to look for potential blindside blocks, all that, blocks in the back, that kind of stuff. So I think, that's where the referee and the umpire too can be looking at the mass of humanity from a bigger view. Scott, what do you have for the umpire?
This, like I said last week, is a situation where on every punt play, I always say to myself, red, 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 meaning that is the offensive player. There is nothing I don't like at all is a short kick on a punt, and all of a sudden I've got a bunch of mixed colors in front of me, and I can't remember who was on offense. So I want to reiterate for umpires, well, I'm going to say for any player or position for that matter, know who is the offense, know who is the defense. As much as our NFL friend likes to have the sound of a blocked punt, I don't like the idea of a short kick as far as an umpire is concerned. I like it to go way downfield. I don't want to have to make decisions on ball during punts.
Doug, what do you think of the wings on this play?
I think the movement of the wings was pretty decent, but we again going back to stop, look, and listen, and move with a purpose. I think our line judge did a pretty decent job watching the gunner number 3 and 29, kind of mixed it up a little bit, but it was just some chicken fighting, nothing too important there. You're listening, and you're probably, all the coaches are yelling Peter, 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 so something's going on, and you see the action of all the players stopping and reversing. So again, you don't need to know where the ball is at. You don't need to watch the ball. If you watch the players' action, they'll take you to where you need to be. And then, like you were saying, then look for crazy stuff. Up the top of the screen, there was a block. I don't know if it was a good block or not, but someone ended up on his back. So look for cheap shots, late hits, and as soon as that kick is over, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna mirror someone's timeout. We're gonna check the clock out and dead ball officiate.
Chuck, what do you think of the back judge on this play?
I think he did a pretty good job. I would slow down and probably stop. We've got a lot of similar color or different colors together. Actually, he was probably in a pretty good position here, but then we're coming in. It just seems we're more eager to get the spot and throw a beanbag here. The spot's not important. You just need to know who has the ball. We're probably going to put it on a big line here. We've got different colors together. We just need to, just take our time. And we've talked about this a lot, and just stop, watch, and officiate, and certainly DBO on these kind of, these kind of big plays that happen, momentum changers.
Okay.
It's good stuff. It seems like we've got all sorts of technical issues tonight. A lot of Darth Vader voices on our calls. Maybe we've got a solar flare or something going on that's causing problems. All right, let's finish up. We got 1 minute, John. Let's play the next one. I don't know that we have to break this one down. This one's provided by, it was from the 5A championship game. And what you're going to see is a shallow punter. Ball is going to be blocked at the line of scrimmage, tipped, and you see actually a K player get underneath this ball and catch it about 10 yards downfield, gets hit right at the same time. You know, we talked about the Haley Comet play. This you're not going to probably see this in a career. Very odd situation, but you know, it's one that, again, if our mechanics are good, maybe we're able to catch out of the corner of our eye what actually happens, and maybe even a play like this is a play that's so unique, I think, coming together. And if it played long enough here, you'll see the white hat, Joe Milburn. Actually, Joe provided me this film. Come up and talk to the wing. Obviously, the wing has a good angle on what happened there. Communicating before actually knowing what's going to happen next. I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you for stepping in and protecting me on my computer crash, and hopefully get things back in order.